We also want to give a strong round of applause. I see the CASA president here. Let's give a strong round of applause to CASA. That's the administrative union here in Newark. They're in solidarity with our movement. Brothers and sisters, real talk. Real talk. I want to bring up a brother that I admire and respect, who has actually inspired me over and over again to be a community activist, to be a teacher, all right? To do everything and anything that will help empower black people, Latino people, poor people, I don't know what else to say, people in general. I want to bring up a man who went against big money and won. We call him the people's champ. The people's champ. The people's mayor, our brother, Ras Baraka, mayor of the city of Newark. Let's bring up our brother. Come on, brother mayor. Believe in Newark, y'all. Let's say that. Believe in Newark. Believe in Newark. You the mayor. I'm the mayor. Let's bring up our brother mayor, Ras Baraka.
Actually, I just came to support and let you know that we are behind what's happening here, and so you can see that you have support from the city. Just listening to everyone talk about what's happening, and ultimately things are not going to change unless you change it. And that's really the reality of it. And understand that in order to move this thing forward, it takes a lot of pieces. It takes a lot of pieces to be put in place to make it happen. And we can't allow ourselves in this community to be pushed and pulled in either direction by specific people who don't have our interests in mind. Right? And I'm talking about people on different sides all over the place. They're pushing us this way, pushing us that, because they want to see something happen. We have to be strategic about what we do. We have to be strategic about how we move this bus from one place to the next place, and how everybody have a role in that and have a responsibility in that. That's right. These young people have been on the front line, but that's not anything new. Young people have always been on the front line. Historically, they've always been on the front line. Our job is to support them, protect them, make sure that they're okay, and give them the cover fire that they need in order to make the statements that they're supposed to make. That's what we're supposed to do. As adults, we're supposed to protect these babies and make sure that their voices are heard and make sure they have the information that they need to be able to talk the way they need to talk. And that's important for us. And as adults, wherever we are, whether you're an administrator, a teacher, a parent, there's opportunities for you to get involved in this struggle in ways that you know how. So you have to organize yourself in those ways to be able to provide pressure, right, in the way that you can. And understand that this struggle is larger than just about your individual school. And that's the reason it has taken so long for this organization, for this movement to get to the point where it is swelled beyond capacity, right? Because when they messing with people at Central, nobody over here says anything. They messing with people at Weequahic, they don't say anything on the other side. They mess with people at Eastside, the people at Barringer don't say anything. They mess with people at Barringer, the folks at Westside don't know anything about it. That's the problem. We have to begin to feel like when they mess with somebody at Barringer, then they messing with me. When they messing with somebody at Eastside, then they're messing with me. If they're messing with a teacher at Newark Vocational, then they messing with me. Right? You have to begin to feel that way. And the only people that I've seen trying to cross that line is Christian and the student union. And I'm just really telling the truth about what it is. They've been trying to reach out to every school, every nationality, every community to get every student in this city involved in student movement. The adults have not done that, and we have to begin to do that at that level. Every organization, every union, every committee, every teacher, every administrator has to reach across lines and grab each other and hold hands and say, this city is ours. The Newark Public Schools belongs to all of us. And we have to stop being in competition, right? And so they talk about these test scores so we can start talking about our test scores are better than Eastside, or better than this school, or better than that school. No, that's not the point. If there was 1,200 kids here, and now there's 400, where are the rest of those children? Where are the rest of those children? And nobody's asking those hard questions. Where are those kids? Where's 600, 700 kids? Where are they? What school do they go to? All of them don't go to school at Newark Collegiate. All of them are not in a charter school somewhere. Where are those children at? If Westside High School had almost 2,000 kids, if they got 500 kids, where are those kids? Where are they? Shabazz had thousands of children. Thousands. They down to 500 something kids there. Where are those kids going to school at? Where are those kids, and where's the plan for those children? And then say the dropout rate is lowered because you done got rid of all of the children. Where are the children? And so, where's the children? Where are the families, and where are those parents? And it's time for us to together to organize our city in a way that we say whatever we want Newark to look like, whatever we want Newark Public Schools to look like, we have to have a say-so in that. We have to be represented in that. All of us. Now, I want to say one last thing, and I just want us to be clear because, you know, to me, all of it is connected. The schools are not divorced from what's going on in the community, and all of us that are out here, because of our individual interests, need to understand the larger and collective interests behind what's happening here, not just in Newark, but all over the country. All over the country. Now I'm going to tell you, and I told, and there was a conference last night, and it's here today, and I had an opportunity to speak to young people and organizers from different parts of the country, and I told them and started off with what's going on in Baltimore, because that's important. So yesterday, 6 officers were arrested in Baltimore, were indicted for second-degree murder. But the reason why I'm even bringing that up is because the first confrontation that began between officers and the community were high school students. That's right. Were high school students. They had a confrontation at a mall that was connected to a school. That's right. And the name of that school was called Frederick Douglass High School. That's right. And the alumni at Frederick Douglass High School is Cab Calloway, right? The mayor's father went to that school. And in the 1920s, so did Thurgood Marshall. Now, Thurgood Marshall was known for the fight against segregation and Brown versus Board of integrating schools. 60 years later, that school, Frederick Douglass High School, is 90-something% segregated today. And over 75% of those kids are economically disadvantaged, which means they live in poverty. There are 5 other schools that are in that community, right next to that community. All of them are over 90% black and brown. All of them are over 90% black and brown. And all of them are over 75% economically disadvantaged. That means they are isolated our children into poor and segregated communities. And the difference between when Thurgood Marshall went to school and the kids go to school today is the black middle class is gone. And so that school now is filled with the permanent underclass, with the difficult to hire, the 50 years of unemployment that has affected our community. For 50 years, we have had double-digit unemployment in our neighborhoods across the country. Not just in Baltimore, in Newark, in Cleveland, in Chicago, in Detroit, in East St. Louis, in East Palo Alto. Wherever we are, that's the case. And so the problem with these schools is not the teachers, it's the community. Right? The social and economic conditions in our community has affected what's going on in these schools, and they're trying to blame teachers and administrators for the failure of economic and social policies that this country has had in these communities. And they want teachers to fix the problems, and they want the police to police the problem. The police can't police poverty and social disorder. They can't do it. And when you go in there with force, you aggravate the situation, and you get what happened in Baltimore. If you cannot deal with poverty and economic deprivation and social isolation and segregation, if that's not going to be dealt with, then we're going to have these problems. And you cannot blame teachers, because teachers are not responsible for poverty. And then when you cut teachers' aides, when you cut attendance counselors, when you cut art, when you cut music, when you cut phys ed, when you cut after-school programming, when you cut those things, you cut the mechanisms that help kids cope with living in the condition that they live in, that give them the kind of idea and spirit to move themselves out of this community to say, one day I'm going to do something about my neighborhood, about my community. When you cut all of those things away, you make it difficult for people to survive in conditions like this every single day. So invariably, Baltimore will happen again.
That's right. That's right.
And all over the country, until we do something about our conditions, it'll always be like this, and teachers will have a difficult time, and these people will come in and say, we're going to take over the schools because they blame you. And not only because they blame you, but because 9% of the country's gross domestic product is produced in education. 9% of the country's gross domestic product is out of education. Privatizing schools could benefit $1.3 trillion in this country. $1.3 trillion. That's what the money is that can be made through privatization. So that's why they're here. That's why they're here. So you got to look at this at in a larger kind of scope and begin to understand what's happening in this community and begin to understand what's going on. Then you have to involve yourself in these struggles and make sure it's just not about you, it's about all of us collectively, and then we can't get mad at each other.
No.
And there's people out here who benefit from us being angry with each other.
Yes, sir.
Who disrupt our movement either from their arrogance or because they're not clear or because they're just not with us. It takes a lot of people to make a bus go. Right? Take a lot of people to make a bus go. We got a bus that's trying to move from one point to the next point. We got a bus driver. You got people on the bus. You got somebody outside fixing the engine of the bus. Then you got somebody that's paying money so you can put gas on the bus. But the way we do it, the people riding the bus, looking out the window, is mad at the person that's fixing the bus and say, why you ain't on the bus with us? And then you have to say, well, if I wasn't outside fixing the bus wouldn't even go nowhere. And then there's the guy who's fixing the bus at the bottom. He say, getting sweaty. Say, I'm out here doing all this work. This guy over here just paying for the gas on the bus. Why he ain't fixing the bus with me? And you gotta tell him, brother, if he didn't have the money to put the gas in the bus, fixing the bus wouldn't make a difference because the bus wouldn't go without the gas anyway. Right? So you need everybody to do what you can and don't let people divide you.